Dance Gavin Dance is categorized as a post-hardcore experimental rock group formed in Sacramento, California in 2005. Critics have compared the band to The Fall of Troy, Alexis on Fire, and Circa Survive. We're going to look at a complete historical timeline of one of my favorite bands ever. Dance Gavin Dance was the second band Will Swan formed. He first founded the band Farewell Unknown in 2003. In 2004 they released a studio album, and in 2005 they disbanded. Will Swan and bassist Eric Lodge both recruited drummer Matt Mingus and vocalist John Mess and Jonny Craig to form Dance Gavin Dance. Clean vocalist Jonny Craig joined the band after leaving his former band Ghost Runner on Third due to conflicts within the group. They released their debut extended play, Whatever I Say Is Royal Ocean. After the band signed with Rise Records, it was mastered, produced, and re-released on November 14th, 2006. Chris Crummett was the producer, and went on to produce every other Dance Gavin Dance album. Their debut studio album, Downtown Battle Mountain, was released on May 15th, 2007. The album title was inspired by the unincorporated town Battle Mountain, Nevada, after the band visited the city. The band toured with Alisana, Pierce the Veil, and A Day to Remember in support of the album. In August of 2007, guitarist Sean O'Sullivan left the band and was replaced by Zachary Guerin. A few months later, in November 2007, Jonny Craig left the band. When he asked to rejoin, he was denied because of tensions and personal conflicts with the group's other members. Shortly after Jonny Craig left, Dance Gavin Dance held auditions to find their new clean vocalist. They settled on Kurt Travis, formerly of 5 Minute Ride, Oh the Joy, and No Not Constant. They started recording their album in April of 2008. On August 19th, 2008, they released their second album, self-titled Dance Gavin Dance, also known as Death Star. Before the album came out, but after it was recorded, 2 original members, unclean vocalist John Mess and bassist Eric Lodge, left Dance Gavin Dance. They filmed a music video for the song Me and Zoloft Get Along Just Fine. John Mess's vocals were lip-synced by Will Swan in the video. In February of 2009, the 5-piece band went into studio to record their third album. Happiness was released on June 9th, 2009, less than 1 year after their last album. The album saw a significant departure from the group's previous traditional post-hardcore and emo sound, venturing into funk rock and experimental rock.
Like Death Star, at first, people were all just confused about the new singer,
Yeah.
And then with this album now, I felt like it was a lot smoother.
I feel like we've made it through our transitional period, and this new record, people seem to just be embracing it as like
Dance Gavin Dance.
Dance Gavin Dance, not really questioning that anymore.
We took acid, played a show.
Oh yeah? Like the whole band took acid?
Yeah. When I got done, I felt like I didn't even play a show. I was like covered in sweat, but like I didn't feel like I'd done anything.
It was tripping.
This was Dance Gavin Dance's second consecutive and last studio album to feature Kurt Travis on clean vocals and Zachary Guerin on rhythm guitar. It was their first album to not feature founding member, screaming vocalist John Mess, who left in 2008. It is also the only album to feature bass guitarist Jason Ellis and screaming vocals from lead guitarist Will Swan. A music video for Tree Village was released shortly after the album. Physical copies of Happiness are extremely scarce. with recent represses selling out in minutes. Very few are found online, and on eBay prices can push around $200. On February 10th, 2010, guitarist Zachary Guerin was allegedly removed from the band's lineup due to personal conflicts with other members. John Mess and Eric Lodge rejoined the band in mid-2010. In August of 2010, singer Kurt Travis and Dance Gavin Dance parted ways in order for Jonny Craig to rejoin the band.
So how did the original idea, or the idea of getting all the original members back in the band start?
It came about pretty much, we have this next record coming out. We needed to be fresh, we needed a new idea, kind of switch things up a little bit. And the only next step we all thought we could take was to bring back the original lineup. We were, Will and myself, we've been doing it the whole time, and we were kind of almost ready to, kind of call it quits. And then we were like, well, if we can get everyone else back together and the way things used to be and the vibes we used to have when we played, and we'll keep going. And sure enough, we were lucky enough to have everyone accompany us again, and we're very fortunate, and we're excited about the future events that we have planned.
In an article from 2015, John Mess said that if Jonny wasn't willing to rejoin, the band would have broken up. Former guitarist Sean O'Sullivan rejoined the band for several home shows towards the end of 2010, which returned the band to their Downtown Battle Mountain lineup. On March 8, 2011, the band released Downtown Battle Mountain 2. It debuted at number 82 on the Billboard 200.
This album is sort of labeled as a sequel. It's Downtown Battle Mountain 2.
Correct.
Why sequel sounding versus giving it a new title?
We call it sequel, or we named it the sequel because it is the original lineup. Not that it sounds like the same album, it just has the same members. Because the previous record was basically all completely different members almost, besides Will and Matt. So this one is the sequel to our first full length.
In March of 2011, the band began their US tour with I Wrestled a Bear Once, Just Like Vinyl, and In Fear and Faith. This was followed by a small European tour, which ended with 2 shows in London playing the original Downtown Battle Mountain in full on the first night, and Downtown Battle Mountain 2 in full on the second night. On August 20th, 2012, Jonny Craig announced he was leaving Dance Gavin Dance. The next day, Dance Gavin Dance officially announced his departure via Facebook. They said that when Jonny rejoined Dance Gavin Dance, they were about to call it quits. They were tired of touring and being away from home for 8 months of the year. They wanted to shake things up. They thought it'd be fun to do a Downtown Battle Mountain sequel with Jonny and go out on that. After they recorded the sequel, they thought it'd be a disservice to their fans to not let them hear the new record live. They did a tour and felt rejuvenated, but Jonny wasn't in a good place.
So can you clarify what happened with Jonny on the All-Stars tour?
Yeah, basically what happened was, well, there's a bunch of different incidents where other people felt they were being annoyed or pestered by Jonny. But the main incident was the bass player in Suicide Silence was stretching or warming up. I wasn't there, so I didn't see this directly, but this is what I was told. And then Jonny tends to kind of get physical with people, kind of like male flirtatious, like grabby and touchy. And so he went up behind him or something and pushed him, grabbed him in some way. And the guy ended up dislocating his knee. So Suicide Silence was not really, I don't know, just too stoked on him anyway. So they told us that we need to get him off the tour, or we're kicked off the tour.
After they tried to convince him to get help over Warped Tour, they canceled a headliner in November and December of 2011 and told him they wouldn't tour until he sought out real help for his addiction. Their friend filled in when Jonny was in rehab. When he was released from rehab, he wanted to be on the road immediately. They weren't sure how things would go, so they only booked a small portion of the All-Stars tour to see if Jonny could still function as their lead singer. After a week and a half, things were not going well. Everything came to a head when Jonny was publicly scolded by the owner of Sumerian Records for multiple offenses. After that, they realized their time with Jonny had reached its end. They wished him the best in his future endeavors, but they said he'll no longer be a part of Dance Gavin Dance. They finished by saying they'll continue playing and writing music because it's what they love doing. Formerly of Tides of Man, Tillian Pearson replaced Johnny Craig as clean vocalist. Guitarist Josh Benton and bassist Tim Furyk were also confirmed as official members by John Mess. The band's fifth album, Acceptance Speech, was released on October 8, 2013 with Rise Records. The album was produced by Matt Malpass and was the only one not to be produced by Chris Crummett. This was, of course, Tillian Pearson's first album, new bassist Tim Furyk's first album, and it was the only album to feature Josh Benton on rhythm guitar. He left shortly after the album came out.
Band?
Where did we meet Tillian?
Yes, and how did you come together with him?
All right, well, we met Tillian. It was Warped Tour 2011.
Ooh.
Yeah, Warped Tour number 15. And we only did half of the tour, and then we finished, somewhere on the East Coast and I can't think of exactly where.
Okay.
But so we had one-off shows on the way home.
Okay.
Headlining. And Tides of Man, Tillian's band, they were on all four of those shows or whatever with us.
Okay.
And so that's where we initially met. And then sure enough, another tour came up down the line and they were in for the submissions for it, so we picked them.
Okay.
They came out on the tour. We just always kept in touch. Tillian would come out and see when DGD would be in town, he'd come out.
Checked it out.
And vice versa and stuff. And then when we were looking for a new singer, we got rid of Jonny, and then we were all honestly considering like, oh, well, we got this other band, Seeker Band, other stuff. Maybe we should just pursue that,
Okay. And Tillian, is he the member of your band that lives in Florida, the one here? Yeah, okay. I assumed that. I was like, wait, you go, okay.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And then his name got brought up, and we're like, oh, well, we all kind of decided like we would be down to try it out, and sure enough, he was interested, and he emailed us over a track of him singing over Lemon Meringue Tide. It was super solid, so it got us all stoked. And so initially, it was just for the Rock Yourself to Sleep tour. Tillian was just a fill-in. It was like, hey, do this tour with us, see how you feel, we'll see how we feel, and then we'll talk about it.
In reality, he doesn't even know it's a tryout, right?
No,
it's a trial stage, okay. That's cue word for we're gonna try you out. Don't fail.
No, and then halfway through the tour, it was all going so well, and we got along with him so awesome, and it just made sense to do a new record with him. And
the album was supported by the lead single, The Robot with Human Hair, Part 4. Acceptance Speech features the most song title sequels in one album by DGD. The 4 sequels were, of course, The Robot with Human Hair Part 4, Strawberry Swisher Part 3, Death of the Robot with Human Hair, and Turn Off the Lights, I'm Watching Back to the Future Part 2. They released a music video for Strawberry Swisher Part 3 a few weeks after the release, which was the first music video since Tree Village from Happiness. The Acceptance Speech cover art features a pen drawing by artist Matthias Adolfsson, who also provided the artwork for all of the band's previous studio albums, and it bears a particular stylistic resemblance to the cover of 2009's Happiness. In 2019, Dance Gavin Dance will release a remastered version of Acceptance Speech.
So how'd you guys get the name for it?
Well, I was I was naming a song on the record, and that morning I had watched the Fiona Apple acceptance speech for her Grammy, and once where she freaks out and says the world is shit, and I just thought that would be a really funny song title, and when we were going through naming the record, that just seemed like the coolest and most significant thing of all the song titles. We ended up making that the album title as well.
Another music video was made for the song Death of the Robot with Human Hair, which premiered on March 7th, 2014. Following extensive touring for Acceptance Speech, producer Chris Crummett announced on October 29th, 2014 that recording sessions for their 6th studio album were completed. They debuted the song Something New from the yet-to-be-released Instant Gratification live for the first time in December of 2014 on the Rise Records tour. On February 6th, 2015, Rise Records released a teaser for the new album, Instant Gratification. 6 days later, on February 12th, 2015, the band released the lead single, On the Run. On February 19th, 2015, Will Swan made a post on Facebook revealing that the guitar pedal board he used to perform had been stolen at a show on February 14th on the Blue Swan Tour. He launched a GoFundMe account and asked fans to donate $2,500 to help him purchase a replacement pedal board. The fund reached its goal in 3 hours. On April 2nd, the music video for Stroke God Millionaire was released. On April 14th, 2015, Instant Gratification was released. The album debuted and peaked at number 32 on the US Billboard 200 Albums chart and topped the Billboard Independent Albums chart. It sold 15,000 copies in its first week. This made it the band's best-selling album at the time. The album garnered critical acclaim, said to be a culmination of the band's growth over the years, and further writing that the band have managed to outdo themselves by exploiting all of the strongest points of their previous records. Others said this album reminds us just how fun music can be, and that it feels like a strong return to form for a band that's well adjusted in its own sound and aura.
The song Legend. Okay. What the hell does it mean?
That one, Tillian wrote that from the perspective of just like a huge douchebag.
Yeah, huge douchebag.
Yeah, the guy who thinks he's the shit. That's what a lot of the songs are about, I guess.
Is that the same kind of feeling Awkward?
Yeah, that one's
Your life is a joke.
The intro is sarcastic.
Yeah.
It's like from a character perspective of like, I'm gonna, you know, like some dumbass. And then the chorus is like, you're a fucking dumbass.
Yeah, exactly.
What
a lot
about
of the songs are like that on the album. They're like from the perspective of someone who is got some personality disorders or narcissistic thing going on.
The music video for We Own the Night was uploaded to the official Rise Records YouTube channel on May 7th, 2015.
What are some people or things that have inspired songs on that album?
Well, we have the end of the Strawberry Swisher series. I don't know, there's not a lot of there's no sequels, so I guess a lot of new territory. More focusing around working with Tillian and his style and what he brings to the table.
Dance Gavin Dance toured as a supporting act on the Take Action Tour with Memphis May Fire, Crown the Empire, and Palisades from March 10th to April 4th, 2015. In celebration of the band's 10th anniversary, DGD embarked on a 10-year anniversary tour with supporting acts A Lot Like Birds, Slaves, Day Shell, and Strawberry Girls from November 14 to December 19, 2015. On December 23, 2015, Rise Records revealed that Dance Gavin Dance was to release their 7th studio album in the fall of 2016. On April 2nd, 2016, the band performed at the Extreme Things Sports and Music Festival in Las Vegas, Nevada, with other bands like Sausin, The Story So Far, The Maine, Mayday Parade, and many others. On March 2nd, 2016, DGD announced their live studio album, Tree City Sessions, which was released on May 13th, 2016. The album contains 12 live recorded songs performed in none other than their origin of Sacramento, California. On May 10th, the band announced the UK leg of their 10th anniversary tour that again included vocalist Tillian Pearson, Kurt Travis, and Jonny Craig. On July 27th, 2016, the band announced their 7th studio album, Mothership, with a scheduled release date of October 7th, 2016. The lead single, Chucky vs. the Giant Tortoise, was released on August 18th, 2016. The music video for Betrayed by the Game was released on September 16th, 2016. The music video for Young Robot was released 11 days later. On October 7th, 2016, Dance Gavin Dance's 7th studio album, Mothership, was released. It's their 2nd consecutive studio release with the same consistent lineup. The album sold 19,000 copies in its first week and debuted at number 13 on the Billboard 200. The album artwork was once again created by Swedish illustrator Mattias Adolfsson. The album cover is said to depict a mothership in the upper sector of the photo in the shape of an infinity sign, while citizens praise its rival on the ground below. Easter eggs are illustrated in the album's artwork, including the Death Star-inspired spaceship as seen on the band's 2008 self-titled studio album.
How does a song get started with you guys? Does it start with a song lyric, a melody, a riff? How do most of the songs get started?
Mostly, yeah, riff. I mean, we'll come to practice a lot of times and already have some stuff written. We write to it to accompany what he already has, and but there's, exceptions for different songs. Some stuff's written differently,
A few weeks ago, you guys released the video for Betrayed by the Game. Not an animated video. Who came up with the treatment for it and why this sort of changed?
Our director actually already had that treatment, and we loved it. It was nice to do something not animated and do an actual video that turned out good, unlike the video we have for Zoloft, which is one of the most comical videos for non-comedy reasons. So it's nice to actually do a real live shot video that turned out good, quality.
And right around Halloween, it's pretty creepy. I think a lot of fans out there messaged me and wanted to know what the donuts tasted like and what the green goo tastes like, and how many donuts did you consume over the recording of that video?
Well, they had a huge box of pastries that they just kept filling and pumping through. So, hundreds, literally hundreds. I personally didn't have to taste it, but I know it's protein powder and it tasted like lime, gross, not good.
You also released the video for Young Robot. Is that a prequel to Robot with Human Hair?
Yeah, it's a prequel.
Yeah, it's just the robot, he's young, all that stuff, the political shit hasn't happened yet. He's just in high school trying to get his own sea legs, and then a bunch of stuff happens and you kind of get introduced to the origin of his battle with that evil dictator and how that comes to be. There's a lot of blanks to fill in between, but it's kind of a flashback to show people, what the robot was like at a young age.
In support of the album, the band embarked on the Mothership tour with supporting acts The Contortionist, Hail the Sun, Good Tiger, and The White Noise from September 22nd to October 27th.
But with the nomination for Best Live Band, I think that is sort of a testament to you guys and the fact that a lot of people have been talking about, what band do I need to go see at Warped? Yeah. And yours is one of the many. So what do you bring to a live show that fans don't get from the tangible or the digital album?
Well, we try to play as perfect as possible, I guess, instead of go crazy, because I guess we find our music really challenging to play live. So I guess when I talk to people after shows, they're like, "Wow, it sounds a lot like the album, and it's more powerful." And so, yeah, we try to make it translate into what we envisioned. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, just try to make it sound as good as possible. And then, it's hard for us to like do a ton of movement on stage. Everyone's just like trying to do their parts perfectly, but we try to compensate with being as true to the sound of the record as possible.
Another North American tour took place from February 24th to March 19th, 2017, with special guests Sean and support from Idola and Vasudeva.
Growing up, what music did you turn to? A lot of kids turn to music when times get tough. What sort of bands were you into back then?
I kind of had a few different eras. Like when I was really young, when I was like 11 was when I really first found my first albums. I had like Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy was one of the first albums I got. 311 was a big. I don't really listen to them much anymore, but I was really into them as a kid. And then later it became like Deftones and like Rage Against the Machine, Tool, and then later on it was like Thursday and like At the Drive-In and Blood Brothers and Thrice and Poison the Well and stuff like that. But yeah, went through a lot of different, I guess, phases of. I started listening to music pretty young through my dad, listening to like 50s and 60s stuff. I got an older dad.
On March 3rd, 2017, DGD released the music video for their single, Inspire the Liars.
When we finished it, I guess when we did the album before, Instant Gratification, like I was very confident about it. I really liked it, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be great. It's gonna do well. On this one, I was a little bit more worried.
Right.
Just because we definitely tried things on it that we didn't necessarily try on the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would listen back to it and I'd be like, I think I like it.
One thing I could not come across was the significance of Mothership. Why did you decide to go with that?
We were coming up with names last minute. Naming our records is always really difficult, and we had another name. I don't even remember it anymore, but I just hated it. So I was like throwing out names like literally in the last 15 minutes before our label's like, this has to be it. And then Mothership was like, Mothership. And people, we dug it enough to be like, well, it's better than what we had.
Okay.
I mean, it's just the name of a record. But then once we got the artwork back and like talked with our artists about like, we want to make it cohesive, and it came back with something like awesome. Like, it's my favorite cover we've had so far. We like to just make light of a lot of the things other bands in our genre take very seriously and have a little bit more fun with it. So I think that it suits what we're trying to accomplish musically and puts across a image of a little bit more of a carefree attitude that we have. And we're serious about making good music, but we want to have fun doing that and touring with it and not be super serious all the time.
On June 1st, they released a studio cover of Bruno Mars's single, That's What I Like.
You also did a Bruno Mars cover. How did that come up? Like, you guys were just hanging out and...
Well, we've always kind of tossed back the idea of trying to get involved with the Pop Goes Punk and hoping they'd invite us to do it.
Recently we've just talked more about doing a cover, and it was like, all right, and then we got offered again. It's like, this is perfect timing, let's just do a cover. And they pretty much said we could do whatever we wanted, so we picked that song.
On June 15, 2017, they released their standalone single, Summertime Gladness.
You released Summertime Gladness to kind of tide everybody over for a little bit?
Yeah, that's not like necessarily a reflection of what a new album would sound like. It's just something we thought was reflected summer vibes for the band, I guess. So yeah, we just thought we'd do that.
They toured for the entirety of the 2017 Vans Warped Tour from June 16 to August 6. On October 4th, 2017, the band announced a US tour that would run through December, consisting of the group performing Mothership in its entirety, with support from Polyphia, Icarus the Wolf, and Wolf and Bear.
Lots of fans listen to music when times get tough. Who do you listen to when times get tough?
My mom.
Your mom makes music?
I don't know.
Timmy? Timmy's making music. Oh my
I
lord.
listen to happy music and rap.
That was for your mom, by the way. Sure. I listen to sports podcasts if I want to escape.
That'll put you in a good mood.
Blink 182. Yeah.
Probably Smash Mouth.
On October 17th, 2017, Dance Gavin Dance announced that recording of their upcoming 8th studio album had begun, and that the album should expect a release date of summer 2018. Dance Gavin Dance went on a headlining European tour from March 3rd to March 22nd, 2018, with Veil of Maya and Thousand Below as support. One day after the tour, on March 23rd, DGD officially announced their 8th studio album, Artificial Selection. On April 4th, 2018, the band released its lead single, Midnight Crusade, accompanied with its music video. Almost exactly a month later, they released the song Son of Robot. On May 25th, the third single, Care, and its music video were released. On June 5th, 2018, the fourth single, Count Basie, and this round's third music video was released. DGD's 8th studio album, Artificial Selection, was released on June 8th, 2018. It's their third album to feature the same lineup, and their first to feature multiple producers. The album peaked at number 15 on the US Billboard 200.
I think that the first 4 songs are immediately like, oh shit, this is cool. If you're familiar with the genre, if you're just someone who's never heard anything even close to Dance Gavin Dance before, then maybe it would be harder. It would take some growing, but I think if you've heard the band, then the beginning of the album is pretty accessible.
Yeah, and then the rest of it is
it's a journey.
Yeah, a journey that needs to be taken many times. A lot of it was written for a single, so it was written a little differently than some of the previous instrumentally, because I wrote a lot of it for a session before Warped Tour of last year when we were trying to write a good single. So I wrote 10 songs and we chose one, but I really liked those other songs that I wrote, so I kind of just kept them in my back pocket. And after Warped Tour, when we decided to start writing really for Artificial Selection, a bunch of those songs came back and got worked on. So I was in a different mindset, I'd say, for this record than the last few, just because of what I was going for a lot of the writing. But then we ended up filling out the record with a bunch of other songs, which kind of helped it to be so long, because we had this huge chunk of writing I did before Warped, and then after Warped we were able to just write more and figure out what we felt like the record needed and just fill in the gaps.
The song Bloodsucker does not feature Will Swan on guitar, meaning this is the first song by the band to not feature Swan, making Matt Mingus the only band member to appear on every track in the group's discography.
A lot of pedal experimentation. I after every tour I go and pedal shop immediately and buy a bunch of pedals, so writing is a lot of tinkering and figuring out new textures and what'll sound more like because guitar always sounds like guitar to most people, and I like to try and make sure that when you listen to my stuff, you don't know if it's a keyboard or a synth or some weird effect.
The song Evaporate features various reprises from past songs, including Surprise, I'm from Cuba, Everyone Has One Brain, Me and Zoloft Get Along Just Fine, and I Told Them I Invented Times New Roman, Acceptance Speech, Tree Village, We Own the Night, The Backwards Pumpkin Song, and Alex English, respectively.
I think that maybe if I were to describe it, it would just be all over the place. Because sometimes it's lyrics that, I've written in the back of an Uber that I wasn't even listening to a song. Or sometimes it was lyrics that I freestyled over the instrumental, so it depends. I would say that the lyrics are a little more personal on this one than Mothership and instant gratification.
This is the first album since 2009's Happiness to feature a guest vocalist, with former Clean vocalist Kurt Travis featured on the song Shelf Life. It's also the first album to not feature a vocal performance from Will Swan since their 2008 self-titled album.
The funny thing is, I accidentally clicked on a message on Facebook on ours. It was a DM, and the guy was like, the first message was, "Your new album is disappointing. I don't like the sound of it. What's going on?" And then we didn't read that, and then he said, "Disregard my last message." Like a week later, he's like, "I love the new album. It's great." And it's like, cool, okay.
Perfect.
We're getting somewhere.
Yeah. That happened to me with Thursday at War all the time. When I was a kid in high school, I bought it, and I was such a huge Full Collapse fan. I was like, this isn't Full Collapse. But then I listened to it for like 2 days straight, and after 2 days, I was like, this record's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I like that,
Yeah, I'm shocked by like how well our fans are receiving it. Partly, but mostly like how much they're supporting it is it's like shocking and heartwarming, and we're grateful, so thank you so much.
And you're known for always running kind of the genre gamut when it comes to different sounds. So when you're in the studio, is it kind of all over the place when you put your ideas together, or does it actually come together fairly easily?
Well, once we get to the studio, it's all there. Like, we'd never go to the studio without having everything written before. So, yeah, in movies and stuff, it seems like bands go to the studio with nothing, and then they play some riffs. It's like, oh, that's amazing. It's like, that's not how it happens. Like, this was all written out.
Well, I know when you guys first started out and you were looking for band names before actually deciding on Dance Gavin Dance, you had a bunch of really random and silly ones. Like, you even called them really dumb names in the past.
Really bad.
So what are some of those ones that were thrown around to begin with that didn't stick?
We were almost called the Green Monroe.
Really?
Yeah, which would have just been horrible. Like, we thought it was like the Green Hornet, or at least I did. I was like, why are we going to name ourselves like a bad third-rate superhero?
Third-rate.
And we almost were. But
Wow.
Dance Gavin Dance, like, the name got brought up, and the idea to change our name to Dance Gavin Dance instead of Green Monroe, like, I think I was the catalyst for that. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, because there's no way we would have been successful if we were the Green Monroe. Yeah, I'd be like a DJ for EDM right now or something.
DGD went on a headlining tour with IC Stars, Era, and CN Bar from May 26th to June 21st, 2018. They also performed at Rock on the Range. Dance Gavin Dance covered Third Eye Blind's Semi-Charmed Life for Hopeless Records' Songs That Saved My Life compilation. This is Hopeless Records' and their nonprofit organization's compilation to benefit mental health and suicide prevention organizations.
We all connect with that song because we all kind of grew up around the time that it was a hit. And that was actually one of the first times that I bonded over a song with like a close friend, and it kind of became like a point of kind of shared reality with somebody else, and it kind of gave us like, I don't know, a reason to appreciate art together. And I was like a little kid, so it kind of still rings true to me every time I hear it, just because it was the first time I ever bonded with somebody over a song.
They toured as support on Under Oath's Erase Me tour in November and December of 2018. An Australian headlining tour was announced on November 5th, 2018, and spanned from February 27th to March 5th, 2019, with support from Veil of Maya. On March 22nd, 2019, they released the new single, Headhunter. It's a standalone single, and it won't be featured on their next 9th album. It's their first piece of new music since releasing Artificial Selection. The music video was released on the same day and got 408,000 views in its first week. The song was first alluded to on January 22nd, 2019, when Will Swan revealed on Twitter that he was recording new material in Portland, Oregon at Chris Crummett's recording studio. On the same day, Tillian Pearson replied to his tweet saying, "Be there in a couple days." The single's cover art was again illustrated by Matthias Adolfsson. In support of Headhunter, the track was performed at the group's first annual headlining festival, Swanfest. The festival takes place in Anaheim, California, and of course it gets its name from the last name of guitarist Will Swan. The festival primarily features groups from the post-hardcore, metalcore, and alternative music genres. Crown the Empire, We Came as Romans, Intervals, and Volumes were just a few of the bands featured in the 2019 Swanfest. DGD confirmed that a second Swanfest will take place in 2020. On January 8, 2019, they announced the Artificial Selection Tour, which took place from March 30th to May 12th, with support from Periphery, Don Broco, Hail the Sun, Covet, and Thousand Below. The first day of the tour was Swanfest. The song Betrayed by the Game was only performed on the first day of the tour at Swanfest, and not performed for the remainder of the tour. A couple songs made their live debut too, including The Rattler, Count Basie, and of course, Headhunter.
This is a photo of me.
Who took Ellie Mitchell?
Yeah, Ellie took this. This was in
This would have been
Europe.
Or no?
No, this was I think in the UK.
Oh.
She came out to one of the shows. No.
Charlotte.
No, yeah, it is Warped
It's
Tour.
Warped, yeah.
Day 13. So, yeah, I don't remember a lot of these tours.
Especially Warped.
Especially Warped Tour. Things are different now. That's a good shirt. I think I got that shirt at Marshall's.
Ooh.
Bargain. Always hunting for those good bargains.
I was about 3 weeks alcohol and free and vegan at this point when you took this
you were.
picture.
I was the opposite of that at this time.
Whoa. That is interesting. That's like if you were on too much acid and you're looking at our photos.
The Amity's Oops.
The Amity's Poops. Interesting artist.
Yeah. Well, shout out to the Amity's Poops.
It's well done.
Yeah.
No, it's really cool.
I like
it's
it a
just
lot.
trippy.
It's trippy. It's cool.
Yeah.
Tillian kind of looks like David Bowie there.
I was reading the comments. Who's looking like Gordon Ramsay in this painting? I can't tell who's.
I don't know.
Gordon Ramsay. I don't see Gordon Ramsay. That's Chris Kravitz.
We're recording instant gratification. Then.
Yeah, and we did a calendar. No joke.
That's what that was.
Yeah, we did a full calendar. DGD calendar. It was a VIP item, I think, on a tour.
That makes sense.
And we wanted a really stupid pic.
Yeah.
Like just something really silly for one of the months.
Yeah, and I think this just ended up on the back or whatever as the cover photo. It didn't end up being a particular month, but yeah, it was just supposed to be random and weird. And now when I look at it, I think it's pretty stupid.
Yeah, we look.
Tillian, you look pretty tough. You got a wrench.
Yeah, it looks like exactly what it was. Like, we didn't have any ideas, and we found some random shit in the backyard of somebody's suburban house studio, and then we just local banded it.
It's all just Chris Kravitz stuff.
One of the shows in Columbus, Ohio was originally scheduled to take place at Newport Music Hall, but the venue was changed to Express Live after tickets quickly sold out. Tillian Pearson confirmed that Dance Gavin Dance will release their 9th studio album in 2020.
Well, I was thinking about it today. I want to try to do a few songs the other way around, where like I basically just have a very simple song structure and melodies and lyrics, and then give it to Will and have him write around it, like kind of how we did the cover. We did
Reverse
a cover.
engineer.
Yeah, and we were like, oh shit, this is a cool way to write, even though it's not technically writing, even though Will did write brand new guitar parts around this song structure.
Yeah.
So it was writing.
Yeah, it was writing.
It was writing new riffs. And then I also want to record it, vocals in a place that's really humid. So me and John can be super silky smooth on the vocals. Maybe Florida or the Caribbean
That'd be
or
cool,
Hawaii, or just like do something ridiculous like that, and just bring a guy out and just have him do it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll definitely go to that for moral support.
Yeah, for moral support.